I am going to start with a few stories. Okay? So, and then I'll be introducing 3 different speakers who will be speaking for 5 minutes each. But I think this is a great opportunity. We've heard so much today to just tell a few stories. I think this work is animated by people, by events. Innovation is a thing that happens in the world in real time. And there's a lot worth telling. So I'm just going to jump into it. Okay, the first story in our commercialization, adoption, and scaling work is from the Kernza harvest of 2019. It was my first 6 months on the job. My first major task was to construct and manage U of M's first perennial grain variety release. Actually, the first perennial grain variety ever. Don did not start people in the shallow end. It was a late July day, and I got a call from one of our close farmer partners, growing one of our first Kernza seed increases of this variety. He asked if I could zip out there with a few bags of seed so it could be drilled into the patchy spots after harvest. I hijacked the Sustainable Cropping Systems lab truck, dug around the seed house, and threw some bags of seed in, and then took off west. I got there just as harvest was finishing and handed off the seed. Minnesota Crop Improvement Association was there, too, to take one more look at the field and certify it before harvest. We were especially interested in the field, in this field. There was an important early food industry market opportunity for the harvest, so we decided to bend this one seed increase field toward the market to go for grain. The buyer just happened to be in the area and stopped by. We all converged. Somebody laughed back there. We all converged as the combine was picking up the last few windrows. We scooped some grain out of the truck, which was being filled by the combine auger, and spread it out on the hood of the truck. We all leaned down over it, like out of a movie, close enough to take a look. It looked pretty good. Pretty clean, half free threshed, good seed size, no major discoloration. Not many weed seeds to be found, and this was an organic system. I climbed up on the side of the grain truck and jumped into a truck full of Kernza. Took the opportunity to swim around. This was 2019, 6 years ago. I climbed out and down, trying to suppress a little smile. Felt a little bit like swimming in the future. We all cracked a beer using pliers from the grower's back pocket and snapped a few pictures. I think we all found a way to be there because we knew, early as it was, that something pretty damn interesting was happening here. The moral of this first story is that since I started, all of these actors, farmers, crop improvement, buyers, the university, have all been working together. This willingness to work together across sectors, across growers and buyers, across urban and rural, exists here in the upper Midwest. Some people call it bridging social capital. Other people just call it working together. I've come to believe that this willingness to work together is a prerequisite for innovating for systemic change in agriculture. Like swimming in that truck, I've been swimming in this willingness ever since. A new technology is an opportunity. People, resources, political will, all working together, that's what makes opportunities into systemic change. Thanks. The second story is about how a seed scramble turned into a new winter oilseeds industry taking shape. It was 2021, and we could see interest in winter oilseeds on the horizon. We partnered with Embold to pilot winter camelina at commercial scale with 12 farmers. We were really appreciative of this support. But which farmers? It was my job to find out who, and how, and oh, it had to happen right now. First, we needed seed. And the supply of winter camelina seed around these parts in 2020 was pretty limited. We had a 40-acre camelina research field, but they weren't going to use the harvest. So I hustled a deal with the lead researcher to harvest the field and move it as seed, and struck a deal with the seed company to buy the lot at a discount if he cleaned, bagged, tagged, and provided us seed back. We got a truck in the field at Rosemount the same day of harvest. Side note, have you ever tried to get a grain truck into a field at the time of harvest, at the right time? It's damn hard. And off it went. We had seed, problem solved, or so I thought. A few months later, it was getting close to planting time, and we got the rough news that the seed did not meet spec, and by a hilariously low margin. The seed company would not bag, tag, and sell the lot at that quality. Farmers and fields were lined up, ready to plant, and dollars were in hand, but now there was no seed. So we were in a pickle. I got on the horn to all the regional seed companies I knew of, talked to Forever Green and USDA camelina researchers. I ended up finding some camelina seed in South Dakota. I put an order in for 2,000 pounds and started packing my bags immediately. Again, I hijacked the research vehicle on short notice. I drove 800 miles to get farmers seed over the next 2 days. Those growers all planted. one planted the very next day. Back in those days, we had fall rain and the crop established. The pilot was salvaged. The following spring, we heard about this guy, Lyle, Director of Crop Innovation at Cargill, down from Canada for some meetings at HQ, who might have a spare day and wanted to see some camelina. The pilot fields were ready. The next day, we made it happen. Took him to a farm in Kellogg, 40-acre relay crop field. One of the Cargill folks joining said, "This field looks real clean. What'd you spray?" The grower's answer, "Nothing. I planted a cash cover crop." I heard one of our visitors say, "Okay, might just be something here." Those pilot fields were harvested that spring and the seed cleaned to seed grade standards. It all met spec. Our field scale camelina pilot, to my surprise, met the standards of contracted seed production operation. Meanwhile, a perfect storm of sorts had developed in a good way. The buyout of Covercress by Bayer coincided roughly with the passing of the Inflation Reduction Act. The entire agriculture and fuels industries realized all at once that winter oilseeds are real, and there were several state and now major federal incentives for low-carbon fuels. Because these winter oilseeds didn't displace other crops, their indirect land use change was minimal, and their carbon intensity was maybe much lower. And an entire new fuels industry was about to get created that would deliver premiums for low carbon intensity fuels. Everyone started asking, all at once, who's developing these crops anyways? Forever Green was. They all wanted to talk again all at once. I can't say who, but suffice to say it was just about everyone. Think of every major seed technology company, input manufacturer and supplier, major farm equipment manufacturer and fuel companies, and we talked to some in depth to about half of them. We took potted camelina and pennycress plants into tractor manufacturing facilities in Iowa and told the damn story. These industry partners sent their private jets and fleets of executives to MSP and drove them up to that door, the one you came through. We walked the fields with their business development leads the same way many of you did yesterday. I would sometimes look across at Don and we'd catch ourselves from grinning or laughing because some industry partners we couldn't get the time of day from a year ago were telling us the Forever Green story back to us. My phone kept ringing. The first thing people would ask me was, "Do you have any camelina we can buy?" I'd say, "No, we're a university, we're developing it, we don't sell it." Their second question was often, "Hey, by the way, what's camelina?" In the end, we held the line against making quick deals and let the best proposal and partner rise to the top. We did our best not to chase the money and to protect the public interest. We missed the 2022-2023 production season by the time a deal had been struck, but by fall 2023, we were ready. We moved that 2021-22 pilot field cleaned harvest to our new industry partner, who turned it into 2,000 contracted acres. That 2,000 acres is now 5,000 acres. And as we speak, we're collectively charting the path to the first 1 million acres of winter oilseeds. There are a few morals of this story. For one, I have now lived the process of having everyone ignore something until everyone all at once wants it. Society's needs shift. New opportunities arise, and long available opportunities all of a sudden are in the spotlight. Innovation is not linear. When windows of opportunity open, those organized with well-reasoned solutions are most likely to harness the energy. Secondly, the story teaches us that just because something gets interest or has potential in no way means its opportunity is realized. The entire first pilot could have never happened in about 3 ways. If it didn't, maybe we wouldn't have gotten Cargill's attention. Having commercialization, adoption, and scaling actors in place at an innovation platform is essential. This goes back to the core innovation of this component of our platform. I had the chance to be in Amsterdam a few months back, and had the chance to visit the Van Gogh Museum. I realized that innovation is a lot like a Van Gogh painting. From far away, it's elegant and coherent. Up close, it's emergent, unpredictable, dynamic, even a bit chaotic. But when done right, it seems obvious, couldn't have gone any other way. Thanks. The third story, I could tell you in the hallway, it's about how we created a new program in the state of Minnesota called the Developing Markets for CLC Crops program. We organized a coalition of farmers, small businesses, indigenous and BIPOC growers, farmer cooperatives, rural development interests, and environmental advocates to create a new program, an MDA that you've heard about a bit today, that's put $2 million towards small and medium-sized business development, and it's real innovation that other states are starting to look at. So I'd love to tell you that story sometime. I think it's a great example of how we've organized to put public dollars toward this early market development. My last comment, Anne, which I know we don't have time for, is that I think we still need to do more to support entrepreneurs, and there's some strategies baking around that. You heard that from a number of growers on the panel. What they need is that contract, they need that market opportunity, and that is another area of our work we've mostly left to chance that we need to get more systematic about. So, in closing my comments, you're going to hear shortly from the lead market development individual on the Forever Green commercialization team. So I didn't speak as directly to the intricacies of that market development work. You're going to hear about that in a moment. I just want to close by saying that commercialization, adoption, and scaling function that we've built here is really a unique innovation that I think has played its role in enabling some of this to happen. And we'd really encourage our peer platforms and partners to consider those similar strategies. So, okay, with that, I am going to invite Katharine Chute here to speak for 5 minutes on innovating to partner more effectively with small and large businesses. Katharine Chute is the Product and Market Development Specialist with Forever Green's commercialization team. She holds an MBA and MS in Ecosystem Management and is also, as of recently, a bronze medalist in the World Bandy Championships in Sweden. So give it up.
Well, I could definitely use some bandy right about now. It's a sport. It'd be a lot of fun to get moving. So thank you all for being here. It's amazing to see this many people here thinking about Forever Green. I have a really short section here, but I'm really excited to share about some of the new directions that our commercialization program is going in. And as Colin said, I'm the Product and Market Development Specialist, and that means that my focus is on developing the market pull, or the market demand for the crops that we've been talking about. I work on trying to figure out how do we get enough demand so that we can accomplish our goals of clean water, our goals of healthy soil and economic opportunity that come with being able to sell these crops as ingredients. And I know you've seen some of these pictures, but I just wanted to ground us again in what we're really working on. So you see here we've got pennycress for oil for SAF. We've got fiber that may come from perennial flax. We've got high-protein Kernza, highly nutritious hazelnuts, all things that we're hoping to get out into the market as ingredients, and some of which are already out there. And behind each of those crops is a goal of creating the benefits that you see here that Mitch covered earlier today. So I won't go into them again, but just wanted to put that top of mind, that again, our ultimate goal is to be creating ingredients and that they're tied back to landscape scale change that's creating these benefits. And to do that, we need to build the markets. And so where we've started as a team has been in a very opportunistic way. Usually we're engaging one-on-one, and in any one given year, we might talk to 30 different companies about some form of a pilot or a field tour, or maybe it's a basic introduction to get to know each other and talk about mutual goals. And sometimes we're also thinking about how to directly work on a problem or a question of need that a company may have. Just this year, we had over 6 very big involved field tours that we organized, and I, along with my team, have worked with at least 8 partners on an ongoing basis to help advance their goals. But as we've done this, we've also been really mindful of some of the things we've noticed that are inspiring to us. So seeing a lot of the products that are out there on the market and seeing the genuine sustainability commitments of our partners, and at the same time, seeing some of the challenges and some of the ways that we can improve. So our next step is to move into a more efficient system. And I want to overview a couple of new programs that we're going to be launching as a commercialization team. So the first one is a program around entrepreneurship, which Colin will be leading, and I won't cover extensively here, but you can find him to ask more about that. And then the other 2 are going to be ways of engaging more effectively and efficiently with both small and large companies. So on the large company side, we will be launching a CLC Market Builders membership program. This is an opportunity for companies to learn about CLC ingredients through 2 times a year workshops and a community of like-minded individuals who are working on similar goals, and also tailored R&D opportunities to think about how a specific company's goals can be advanced by mutual partnership with Forever Green. On the smaller business side, we will be focusing on a small and medium-sized enterprise cohort program, which will involve direct support from Forever Green's commercialization team staff members to help with projects of need, as well as $5,000 to $10,000 per cohort member to apply directly to things that need resources. This could be recipe development, it could be attending trade shows, anything we identify that can help to advance a product launch for a CLC product or to grow that market presence. And I do want to make sure I recognize that the support for these two programs is coming from Builders Initiative, if Haley is still in the room here. And we're very grateful for that support and excited to be moving forward with these programs. And I want to end with a call to action to everyone in this room. As we build out these two programs, the commercialization team on the market side, which consists of Colin, who you just heard from, Andrew, who's in the back here, and Madeline, who's all the way in the back there, along with me, we are very interested in hearing your direct feedback. So you will be hearing some of you from us as we reach out to get reactions to our initial program design and to hear what would really be beneficial to you, what can make us a better partner in terms of how we listen, how we engage, and how we move forward to ultimately try to scale more of these crops and meet all of our mutual goals. So we look forward to working with you, and I appreciate you all being here today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Katharine. Katharine's work always reminds me what Don said, that the most important thing he ever does is hire great people. So, great work, Katharine. Okay, in one sentence or less, as Christopher's coming up, I'd just say that that third entrepreneurial strategy is that Forever Green will be co-developing and launching an entrepreneur in residence program to better support entrepreneurs to build companies around CLC crops. You want to talk more? Let's talk out there. Moving on, Christopher Abbott is the founder and president of Perennial Pantry, which is bringing delicious, climate-positive food staples to your kitchen with direct-to-consumer sales of Kernza products and aligned perennial and sustainable food products through a perennial share CSA-style monthly delivery. He's one of the most thoughtful and creative people you will meet, and I believe embodies the entrepreneurial spirit. And he will talk to us about bringing Kernza to market, rebuilding connections among eaters and the land.
Hi everyone, I'm Christopher. I'm an entrepreneur dedicated to finding a home for perennial crops in our lives. In 2015, I won a college startup competition with a slightly audacious idea to reimagine grain growing in the Midwest by connecting brewers and farmers. I had a degree in anthropology, my best friend had one in environmental science, and we had absolutely no idea how to go and build a malting machine. But we figured it out, and 2 years later, we started shipping our first product. Turns out hardware's hard, things break, but the idea local grains for local beer was compelling, but not enough. So we pivoted. When Kernza was ready for markets in 2019, I saw an opportunity to apply everything that I'd learned to something bigger, scaling up a perennial grain that could radically improve soil, water, and carbon outcomes. But the question kept nagging at me, why would someone eat Kernza regularly? And that question has driven every pivot that we've taken since. We crowdfunded our first Kernza production run to help pay for a mill and grain cleaning equipment. People are excited and supported us around the country, but most of that early product sat in pantries. It was too new, too unfamiliar. So we adapted and iterated with the goal of finding a home for Kernza in our diets. We shared recipes for cookies and pilafs. We blended it with wheat for easier to use flours. We made pancake mix. We analyzed scanner data. We studied recipes, tested products, 80 iterations just to crack the code for laminated crackers. We started talking more about Kernza's fiber and protein levels and less about roots. We found products that were easier to use, more delicious, and had high repeat orders. But we were still schlepping a 250-pound dough sheeter back and forth to a commercial kitchen just to make it work. Then came the next lesson. The product doesn't matter if you don't have a way to make it and sell it sustainably. So we built a bakery, piece by piece, auction by auction. Kernza's challenges are very dynamic, and we've only been able to adapt by owning our own production facility. We tried many distribution strategies, Amazon, grocery stores, big brands, small bakeries, but nothing clicked like we needed it to. The goal has been to activate our customers with an amazing product that solves a problem and is available when they need it. We want customers who are so excited about our food that they have to tell their friends, and those friends tell their friends. Exponential growth and impact for Kernza will only come from the right foundation that enables viral story sharing across communities. In 2022, we launched the Perennial Share, a CSA-style monthly box for Perennial Pantry staples. And suddenly we weren't just selling food, we were building a relationship, a conversation, a shared experiment. Our CSA members are the most Kernza literate eaters on earth. With their support, we've tested new products, refined our story, and pushed forward. While our CSA has met our needs, it's still too alternative a distribution strategy to meet a wider customer base. When we started our CSA, we were still thinking about what customers could do for Kernza, and we've evolved. And now we only ask, what can Kernza do for customers? Early on, our bags shouted, "Help save the planet." And that message still matters, but it's not enough. Life is busy, and people expect convenience. They need ease and good health. As we explored how perennial agriculture can reimagine our food system, we focused more on the final relationship, the consumer and the grocer. Can we do a better job at this relationship, which impacts the entire supply chain? Can we reduce overwhelm, increase connection, boost health, or make cooking easier? We're now deep into evolving our CSA to our next attempt to find product market fit, product distribution fit, product story fit. We're launching a grocery store, first online and then in person, with the goal of sharing a perennial pantry that informs a perennial cuisine, that can inspire a perennial culture, that shapes a bigger home for these crops. So why would someone eat Kernza regularly? For their health and their taste buds, for the connection to community and place, because of the eternal logic of a pantry, that cooking is easier and faster when you already have the ingredients on hand. I no longer see perenniality as only a scientific term. Perenniality is the long-term commitment to life, the cyclical return to growth and decay. Humans are perennial too, when we see ourselves as rooted, when we see beyond our one life and into a greater multi-generational project of life. I think Kernza is a catalyst that can ignite a movement towards a better food system, but also a better life. Commercializing crops like Kernza isn't just a business challenge. It's an act of perenniality. It requires doggedly returning, pushing through challenges, and remaining committed to a vision deserving of becoming reality. Thanks.
Told you he was good. Thank you, Christopher, for everything. And lastly, I would like to invite Tina Owens of Transformational Investing in Food Systems. She is also a strategic advisor for the Nutrient Density Alliance and has a multi-decade star-studded career in the food industry. And her family own and operate a small farm where they raise a variety of animals in silvopasture and rotational grazing systems. And she is here to talk about developing a regional investment vehicle to advance CLC agriculture. Take it away.
I'm going to take a 50,000-foot view, a 30,000-foot view, and a 10,000-foot view. I like to move when I speak, and I'm already moving out of the box from the microphone, as you can tell. Let's talk about what the current conversation is at a global level as it relates to how important the work is that's on the ground with farmers and in this system that's been talked about here all through the day. Has anybody heard the words planetary insolvency recently? That's the type of conversation that's currently being had. Insurance is the canary in the coal mine. The future of insurance in a post-1.5C world. If you want to read about 3 scenarios that wake you up and give you a dose of reality, that truth-telling, the ground truth, as Anne Swaggerl said. This is a place to go for where breakthroughs and resilience are still possible. And the other type of conversation that's happening globally is from actuaries and the actuarial data for the insurance industry, for lending risk, and for how institutional shareholders think of managing risk. And so this is a current scenario that's being talked about, the global economy facing a 50% loss in GDP. But planetary solvency and planetary insolvency are actual conversations that are occurring right now. Alongside that, 8 central banks currently have projections around the confidence interval of global GDP loss projections based on where we're at in current scenarios, right? So when you look at it from the tallest possible view in economics, the global conversation has finally caught up to where I would say the climate leaders have been all along. And now What remains is for us to continue putting these things in real language, like the National Risk Assessment on property prices in peril, $1.5 trillion in potential reduction in real estate, economic decline neighborhoods, that blue arrow. See any place that you know in the related blue arrow, right? This is where the current conversation around risk and resilience is at. This is where the current conversation is around maturity of investment in regenerative agriculture and climate and continuous living cover. It's still at the bottom of the hockey stick, and I know why. Spent 2 decades working at 2 of the world's largest food companies, and it is because we have yet to translate those things into the language that those systems use. And so unless we break out of this cycle, we will just continue to do the things we've already done without breaking through into the larger systems. What's missing? Actuarial data, institutional shareholder risk and resilience data, lending data relative to the risk and resilience of soil-centric systems. And so there's several different routes I could take on this, but usually I'd like to give an hour for this talk, and I'm going to do it still with like 2 minutes left. So let me just say, in the actuarial data for insurance, the difference between soil health and not soil health is the same from an actuarial perspective as the difference between a smoker and a non-smoker in cost of coverage. That is now a known fact. What remains is how we actually implement those systems in ways that support farmers in transition. The other one is near and dear to my heart, life cycle assessment data for institutional shareholders and Scope 3 emissions reporting requirements. So much of what we've talked about here today is actually excluded from the language that companies use to talk about their emissions. The Kernza LCA, done by a major cereal company in this state, made it look as though it was terrible from an emissions standpoint, not because it is, but because the tool itself is broken. The tool itself is made to measure chemical emissions, not ecological solutions. And that is an actuarial level of data that's currently missing. There's also a broader funnel that's missing on the type of investment that needs to occur so we get past the $1, $5, $10 million, $50 million checks to the $100, $150, $200 million, $500 million checks from institutional shareholders who are seeing the risk of what they're invested in across multiple companies and don't know how to buy their way out of it because the actuarial data isn't there yet to tell them why these systems work. And it can't just be for winter camelina. It's actually got to be for everything that's in the market today that's already working as climate-smart commodities. So one of the things we're doing at TIFS, well, first of all, 2 of these projects, actuarial data and the LCA data, are my day-to-day work. But at Transformational Investing in Food Systems, we're a pre-competitive nonprofit that's working on behalf of the systems at an institutional shareholder level of interest. Because we're not hearing anybody else have these conversations. They're using similar words, but they're talking more about the ground level. And we're trying to raise it to the planetary level of these stage gates that have yet to be developed that are keeping all of this good work from translating into the language of risk and resilience still used today. So Diversifund is one thing we're launching in the Midwest. And it's a holding company. It's not a fund of funds. It's actually about how you aggregate risk and create visibility into the different types of investment that should be made, rather than each entity having to go out and fundraise for themselves. So imagine 10 different ingredient processing companies, each trying to raise $1 million apiece. Or is it $10 million raised once to have them go through in processing? So I hope you'll join us in having a conversation about this. Infrastructure, value chain deepening, on-farm enablement, innovation and diversification, all of these need to move from being covered by philanthropy to being covered by the actual capital markets. So if you want to reach out to me, reach out to the TIFS members you already know. A bunch of you are friends of ours, or feel free to reach out to me. And I'll turn it back over to Colin for the next step. So thank you.